Tidying Up on Netflix, worth the binge watch. And if you're wondering how I feel about Marie Kondo and the KonMari method and how I actually have more in common with her than I thought, keep watching. Hey guys, it's Kay. Welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Kay. I'm a professional home organizer and singer here in the Boston area, and I'm here to inspire you to live a more organized life. When I heard Marie Kondo was getting her very own reality show on Netflix, I jumped on that. I was like, yes, I need to check that out. That is something I need to watch as soon as it's on. And a lot of you know Marie Kondo. She is probably the world's most famous professional organizer. She is from Japan. She's 34 years old and she is adorable. Her biggest claim to fame is probably the fact that she wrote the most popular book in the world, probably on home organizing, called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. I have read this book a few times actually. I do think 70% of the book is very good. I think 30% of it I can't relate to, but I do think most of it is very good. The concepts are very nice. This book is a New York Times bestseller. This book has outsold probably most organizing books that have ever been written. And so when she got her own show on Netflix, I was all over that. Firstly, I've never talked about how I feel about the KonMari method, which is basically the method that she trademarked that has to do with her method of organizing. And simply because I don't feel too much of either way emotionally about it. Most of the concepts from the book I feel are very good and I relate to my own method of organizing. Some of it I just can't subscribe to. I don't really have an issue with how I fold my socks. I do ball my socks up, and that's just something that I think works for me. And I also don't typically tend to thank my items after I've used them. That's just something that works for me. But if it works for you, that's great. And that is where Marie Kondo and I actually fall in line a lot more than I thought. So Tidying Up is on Netflix. It's on there now. It just premiered yesterday on January 1st. And it is 8 episodes. The episodes are, I think they're about 47 minutes long, and they basically tell the story of the process of Marie Kondo coming to their house, evaluating the house. It's basically a process that professional organizers go through to help clients have a better relationship with their homes. Having your house organized all in one go instead of doing multiple sessions don't really translate. I know that a lot of Americans aren't willing to pay for that service. It's something that I do offer. I am willing to stay in your house as long as it takes to get done, but that's very, very costly. It's something a lot of people aren't willing to pay for up front. Some people are. It's very rare, but that's very expensive and it's very time consuming. So I prefer to go and see my clients in sessions. Typically about 3-hour sessions per week, and we'll go and we'll work together, and it usually involves some sort of homework as well for the client. So in the show, they're not doing their whole house in one go. They're doing it over a period of weeks, which I found to be a little more realistic and a little more indicative about what professional organizers actually do. I've watched all the episodes of the show, and what I found that didn't come across for me from the book was the humanity of Marie. She's adorable, first of all. She's very cute. She's like little, she's very cute. But the thing that was really refreshing, and that people have to realize, and that it maybe doesn't look like it from the outside, is that organizers are people. We're not perfect. We are people. We have emotional reactions to things, just like she did. I mean, there was a scene where she found the family's wedding album, and she had a very emotional reaction. She said, "Oh, today's my anniversary too." It's not that we don't have emotional reactions to things and we're like, just get rid of everything. It's not really the idea behind organizing. In my professional organizing career and in my dealings with clients, I found that the problems with stuff doesn't have to do with the number of items. It has to do with their relationship with the things and how it's not functional. I did a video maybe I think a couple of years ago about what clutter was, and to me, I've thought about this a lot more, and clutter has to do with usually I find just one of 4 things. The items are just too many in number. That is a very surface level clutter definition, and too many in number has to specifically to do with the person, not like some outside eye judging about how many is too many for one person. 2, the item evokes negative emotions because it's either stressful for them to look at, or it's the result of bad habits, like say a pile of mail that is unopened, or bills that are unpaid, or papers that need to be scanned but just aren't scanned. Number 3 is items that need to be used but are hard to access. These are this is part of the moving around of stuff. And number 4, items that just have no function or no longer have a function for the client. So they either used it and no longer have a need for it, or they bought it and never actually had a need for it to begin with. So I find that these 4 things are usually the categories that things fall into when I'm dealing with clutter with a client. And clutter is very strongly, I still believe, very strongly in the eye of the beholder. We do share about 99.9, I think, % of our DNA. However, we don't all share the same psychology. So what works for one person in their home is not going to always work for somebody else. When I go to a client's house, my aim is to not make it look and function like my house, because what works for me doesn't work for them. So it's my responsibility as an organizer to find out what works for them. They might need to have 40 towels to be happy, and they might make them happy. To me, I don't need more than 5. I mean, that's really what works for us. So the sheer number of items isn't really the issue here. And that's one thing about the show that I really liked. And it only happened in like 1 episode. There was an episode where there was a family and they had a house. Well, it's a whole room full of Christmas stuff. And it was a lot. I mean, for me, it would be a lot. I'd be very overwhelmed by it. And she asked them, is the amount of items, is that okay for you? And the client said yes. And so she worked with it. And in gathering all of the items in one place, eventually she did determine to let some of the stuff go, because, you know, when you see it all in one place, it really, really brings it home, like how much stuff there really is. And sometimes you're like, oh crap, I didn't realize there was all these nutcrackers around. But what is really important is that the amount of items is enough for you and not enough for someone else looking in. The processes I found her taking during the show with clients felt very familiar to me, and it's pretty much the same of what we all do, but we all have different sort of styles. So it's kind of the difference between like piano teachers and like math teachers. You may learn something amazing from one teacher and be completely bored in another person's class because your styles don't mesh. So it's simply a matter of taste and sort of personality mesh, and not like basic concepts, because I find that in organizing, of all the books I've read and of all the things I've seen, all of the concepts are very, 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 very similar, if not identical, really, like underneath the surface. And I've also learned that I am not the only organizer in the world that has a stash of empty containers just in case. I thought it was just me. I thought I was crazy, but she's got it. So I feel a little bit better about myself in that aspect. It's really dumb. I do have like just a box just full of like empty drawer dividers and containers just in case I need it. The show is great. It has a very wide variety of families and organizing styles. It's very well represented. It's very inclusive. And I recommend watching it. I don't think it's super captivating reality TV, and I don't think it's worth like the binge watch. I wouldn't sit there for like all day and watch the show, but I would watch the show every now and again, and it's great because it breaks up the reality portion to have a little instructional portion about how to fold things, how to store things, you know, tips and things like that. It's very cute, and I definitely think it's worth the watch if you're looking to make some improvements in your home, or I think it's worth the watch if you're a professional organizer and you want a little like sobering look at like what other lives of professional organizers are like, and it made me think that I wasn't alone in a lot of things. So I definitely think it's worth the watch. I don't think it's the greatest show on Netflix, but I think it's pretty good. I would give it a solid, like, I don't know, 3.5 out of 5. Okay, let me know down below. Have you read The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up? Have you seen the show? Let me know what you think of the KonMari method and of Marie Kondo. I think she's adorable. I think that her style is really nice. I don't think it's for everyone. but I think she's really cool, and I admire her, and I actually appreciate her for bringing awareness to organizing your home and to professional organizers as a profession as well. Okay guys, if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I publish 3 times a week, and I'll see you in the next one.